In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. We have been discussing the prophetic saying number 373 in the book of Imam Muslim. This prophetic saying talks about the day of resurrection and some of the events that will happen on the day of resurrection. We've been discussing this maybe now for 3 nights. So I cannot go back and review everything in the prophetic saying, but basically this talks about the fact that the day of judgment is a difficult day, and that humanity will go and ask the different prophets so that they can plead to Allah to start the judgment, because everybody is quite eager and anxious to know their destiny. And I mentioned before that on the day of resurrection, Allah will bring the paradise and the fire of hell, so that everybody, all humanity, will be able to see them, and everybody will be quite anxious to know where they're going. This is mentioned in some narrations, not in this specific narration, but normally the explainers of prophetic sayings, when they explain, they collect all the narrations that relate to this one, and some of them will have additional information. This is an additional piece of information that I read in the explanation. And actually this additional information is actually mentioned in the Quran, like when you read وَأُزْلِفَتِ الْجَنَّةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ, that Allah will bring the paradise close, so that close to the people who are righteous, so they can actually see it and know and look forward for the judgment to start and to end, so that they can actually enter their final abode. So people went to Prophet Adam, then to Prophet Noah, and then they went to Prophet Ibrahim, and each one of them will say to them that I do not qualify and I'm not able to go and plead with Allah to start the judgment, and each one will remember a mistake or what he conceives as a mistake that he did during his life. We talked about Prophet Ibrahim, where what he considered as mistakes were actually defending the religion of Allah, when he said to them that I am sick, just to stay behind so as to destroy the idols. And then when they asked him who destroyed all these idols, he wanted to trigger their thought. So he said to them, this larger idol destroyed all the smaller ones, so they can come back and think and ponder and know that. He said to them, فَاسْأَلُوهُمْ إِنْ كَانُوا يَنْطِقُونَ, go and ask him if he's able to talk, so they can learn and know that he's not even able to talk, let alone destroy, let alone be their God. You follow? And then he also remembered when he said to the king that this is my sister, or said this is my sister, while she was his wife Sarah, so as not to be killed, and they were both saved from that situation. But anyhow, so he said to them, وَلَكِنْ ائْتُوا مُوسَى الَّذِي كَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ وَأَعْطَاهُ التَّوْرَاةَ قَالَ فَيَأْتُونَ مُوسَى فَيَقُولُ لَسْتُ هُنَاكُمْ وَيَذْكُرُ خَطِيئَتَهُ الَّتِي أَصَابَ فَيَسْتَحْيِي رَبَّهُ مِنْهَا. So he says to them, but go to Prophet Moses. He is the one to whom Allah talked. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Allah spoke with him directly, of course, from behind a veil. He did not see Allah, but he did hear Allah speaking. وَأَعْطَاهُ التَّوْرَةَ, and he gave him the Torah, the book given to Moses. It is mentioned that it was given to him written already, like written in tablets. قال فيأتون موسى, so they come to Musa, فيقول لست هناكم, he says I do not qualify, I'm not able to do this. And as I mentioned, and as you will see in other narrations to come, that each one of them will say nafsi, nafsi. He says I'm only concerned about myself. فإن الله قد غضب اليوم غضبا لم يغضب قبله مثله ولن يغضب بعده مثله. For Allah is angered today to an extent like never before and never again. وَيَذْكُرُ خَطِيئَتَهُ الَّتِي أَصَابَ, and he remembers his sin that he committed. What was the sin that he remembered? Prophet Musa. What is it? Exactly. That was not. He was not criticized when he asked Allah when he asked to see Allah, because it was out of longing for Allah, not questioning. While those people, his people who asked to see Allah because they were doubting, those were taken by the thunderbolt or whatever punishment there was. But he was not, he was just, it was displayed to him that he is not able to see Allah. But his mistake that he remembered was when he killed that man. He was defending one of his own people. He was defending one of the Israelites who was being attacked by one of the soldiers of the Pharaoh. So he was defending this man, and فَوَكَزَهُ مُوسَى فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ. Musa wakazahu, either he pushed him or he punched him to protect this man. He did not intend to kill him, but that man died from that single strike, subhanallah. And then قال ربي إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له. He said, Allah, I have wronged myself, so forgive me. And Allah forgave him. قال ربي بما أنعمت علي فلن أكون ظهيرا للمجرمين. فيستحي ربه منها. Then he feels too ashamed to go and speak with Allah. Then ولكن ائتوا عيسى روح الله وكلمته. He says to them, but go and try talking to Prophet Isa, Jesus. The Spirit of Allah and His Word. He would say, I am not in a position to do that for you. You better go to Muhammad, peace be upon him. Now, of course, Ruhullah here means the spirit that is created by Allah, and Allah placed it inside the body that Allah created within the womb of Mary, his mother. وَكَلِمَتُهُ means the word of Allah, because Allah created him with a direct order, not through the regular means of creating a human being. The regular means, asbab of creating a human being, is for marriage between a man and woman. The connection between a man and woman results in the formation of the fetus. But here, he was not created in such a way. Allah, it was kun fayakun, for him to be formed in the womb. This is the meaning of kalimatuhu, the word of Allah, because it is a direct commandment from Allah. And He sent the angel to breathe his soul into that body that was being formed. Not that Isa, and that's very important, not that Isa has a piece of the Spirit of Allah. This not like that, because even that is mentioned about Adam. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. Also Adam, Allah placed or breathed that soul into the body of Adam as well, and he was created without a mother or a father. So if people want to claim Jesus has a divine status because of that, it would have been Adam, for a greater reason, would have had that status. You follow? But here Jesus does not mention any sin. Actually, in some narrations, قال ولم يذكر له خطيئة. He didn't mention any sin that he had committed. But still, he did not feel that he would qualify for this kind of position on pleading with Allah. We've gone for 8 minutes. Actually, the hadith is almost over. ولكن ائتوا محمد, but try going to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, عبدا قد غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه وما تأخر. He says to them, go. He says, see, look at this, subhanAllah. When he wanted to honor the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and elevate his status, what did he say? He said, Abd. He's a servant of Allah. He's a slave of Allah. Before that, you can see the previous prophets talking about, oh, you're the ruh of Allah, you're the word of Allah, you're the spirit of Allah, you're the one giving the Torah, you're the one, the first messenger. You follow? You're the one who Allah has chosen as a Khalil. But here, to honor him the most, he says he is the servant of Allah. Abdan قد غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه وما تأخر. Allah has forgiven all his sins, whether they are old or new. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فيأتوني. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم now is talking about himself. He says, they come to me. فاستأذنوا على ربي تعالى فيؤذن لي. He says, I ask for permission. So they come to me, so I would ask for permission of my Lord, and it would be granted to me. And then he says, فإذا رأيته وقعت ساجدا. He says, and when I would see him, means see Allah. And that is something that is very well established, not from this hadith alone, from the Quran and from previous multiple, we've read maybe tens of prophetic saying, talking about people seeing Allah on the day of judgment, the believers seeing Allah on the day of judgment. And that's mentioned in the Quran. Can somebody mention a verse that talks about people, the believers seeing Allah in the Quran? Seeing Allah physically, seeing Allah with their eyes? There's verses in the Quran. Such. صح. وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. He says the faces will be shiny and bright. They would be gazing and looking at their Lord. So this is clearly stated in the Quran. It cannot be denied. It's clear statement in the Quran, clear statement in the Hadith. It says, once I see him, I would fall down in prostration. I would وقعت ساجدا فيدعني ما شاء الله. Allah would leave me, meaning in the state of prostration. He would leave me thus as long as he would wish. And then it would be said, O Muhammad, raise your head and say, and you would be heard, and ask and it would be granted. Intercede and the intercession would be accepted. The wording in Arabic would be فيقال يا محمد ارفع رأسك قل تسمع سل تعطى اشفع تشفع فأرفع رأسي فأحمد ربي بتحميد يعلمنيه ربي. He says, I raise my head and I would raise my head and extol my Lord, means to praise my Lord with the praise which my Lord would teach me. So Allah would actually teach him certain kind of praises that are totally different from all the types of praises he was using in his salah or dua in dunya. He says, even in some narration, he says, لا أحسنها الآن. He says, I'm not even able to say those words that I will be able to say in that position, which means something very lofty and something very high that is only taught to him in that situation. You follow? So he says, فأحمد ربي بتحميد يعلمنيه ربي ثم أشفع فيحد لي حدا فأخرجه من النار. We will stop here. He says, and I will start the intercession, but here it goes. He says, فَيُحَدُّ لِي حَدًّا فَأُخْرِجُهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. Allah will say to him, okay, you are allowed to make intercession and bring out of the hellfire through that intercession a certain people who have certain violations to a certain limit. And then, like for instance, let's say people who committed maybe of a lesser degree of violation or crime, those are the first ones to come out. People who have a lesser burden and maybe lesser burden of sin, those would come out first. So it would be in stages. Of course, each the people who had a bigger, punishment to pay, they would stay a bit longer until their turn in intercession would come. You follow? فيحد لي حدا فأخرجهم من النار وأدخلهم الجنة. And those people will be, through his intercession, will be admitted to paradise. We'll stop here.
So in the Bible, there's a character named Shiloh.
Shiloh.
Have you heard this?
No.
So Shiloh, it says, but the translation is Analah. That's actually the translation.
Oh.
This person is wanting to do intercession. So some people went back and said Shiloh is the Prophet Muhammad.
Subhanallah. How is the spelling? How is it spelled?
I don't